Ukraine and Russia have traded fresh lethal attacks as the war nears its 28-month mark. At least 5 people were killed and over 150 others were injured following a Ukrainian strike on the city of Sevastopol in occupied Crimea. Although air defense systems were successful in evading a direct strike, missile fragments scattered over beachgoers. According to the governor of the city, Ukraine launched 5 missiles which Russian air defenses intercepted with shrapnel falling onto the shoreline.
As a result of the terrorist attack of the Kyiv regime on Sevastopol, on a summer holiday, on a nice weather day when people were resting on the beach, using a cluster missile made in the United States, unfortunately at the moment we have 124 wounded.
Russia's defense ministry has claimed that Ukraine used US-supplied ATACMS missiles and further stated they were programmed by US specialists. Moscow has slammed Washington, claiming it bears responsibility for the attack. Washington's ambassador to Moscow, Lynn Tracy, has also been summoned to the Russian Foreign Ministry following the attack. Russia has further vowed retaliation against the US for the attack. Sevastopol is a Black Sea port city and a naval base on the Crimean Peninsula. Crimea has been occupied by Russia since its forces annexed the peninsula in 2014. Since the outbreak of the war in Ukraine, it has continually faced attacks from Ukrainian forces and witnessed targets on Russian naval bases and vessels. But Sunday's strike was particularly deadly. Kyiv has previously insisted that its strikes on Crimea are an integral part of their strategy. Now, according to sources, they're intended to try to isolate the peninsula and make it difficult for Moscow to sustain its military operations on the Ukrainian mainland. Sevastopol, in particular, is the largest city in Crimea. It is also the main base for Russia's Black Sea Fleet. Russian officials say the conflict in Ukraine is entering the most dangerous phase of escalation to date. Even as Ukraine continues to act on its Crimean agenda, Russia says its troops have improved positions in the Donetsk, Luhansk and Kharkiv regions. On Saturday, Russia bombed a residential building in Kharkiv, killing 3 people and wounding more than 50 others. Meanwhile, 5 civilians were killed by shelling in frontline areas of the Donetsk region. Ukrainian military has reported clashes near the towns of Pokrovsk and Toretsk, where Moscow continues to increase the pace of offensive actions by deploying significant forces. The push in the Kharkiv region has further strained Ukraine's already depleted army, which in recent months has been fighting Russia's intensified move into the partially occupied eastern Donetsk region. Dr. Sergei Markov is former spokesman for President Putin, former member of the Russian parliament and director of the Institute of Political Studies and Russian political scientists, is now joining us live from Moscow. Doctor, welcome. Let's start with the latest, where Russia has blamed the US for a Ukrainian missile strike on Sevastopol in occupied Crimea. The Kremlin claims Ukraine used US-supplied ATACMS missiles and has vowed consequences on the US. What kind of consequences is Russia talking about here?
I think mostly possible that Russia will blame free zone on the Black Sea area for the American intelligence drones, which are targeting these American rocket missiles. In Russian public opinion, it's regarded that it was not a Ukrainian attack, but American attack. ATACMS, it's American rocket missiles. Cluster ammunition, cluster bomb, which been on these rocket missiles, is also American. The decision to give to Ukrainian army this cluster ammunition, cluster bomb, it's American decision. The drones and satellite which pointed the target for such American rocket missiles with American cluster ammunition, it's also Americans. So what is Ukrainian? Ukrainian on the territory from which America launched these rocket missiles. Also, Ukrainian possibly citizen of the slaves and soldiers who give the cup of the coffee a couple of the child tip to the American officer who makes the decision about attacking this missile in Sevastopol in Crimea. So this, first of all, war crime of United States of America, President Joe Biden. Why it's war crime? It's very easily because it's cluster munition use. Cluster munition used by absolute majority of the countries, and but nevertheless, United States of America decided that cluster ammunition should be used by a Ukrainian army, and all this cluster ammunition produced by United States of America. So it's American attack against Russian civilians.
Doctor, apart from war in Ukraine, Russia is dealing with another problem, homegrown terrorism. And this comes after terrorists attacked a synagogue and church buildings. How is President Vladimir Putin going to deal with or maneuver the threat of terror in Russia?
Russia have a long history and I would say a long story of dealing with radical Islamist terrorists. In the 90s, we have a very big level of the Islamic terrorists, and these Islamic terrorists very intensively cooperated with United States of America intelligence community again, by the way, and Vladimir Putin many times directly talked about this. But then Russia fixed this problem with radical Islamist terrorist attacks, and the number of these attacks dropped in maybe in 30, in 40 times. But now it's appeared to be happen again. Now we're try to make analyzing why this new wave happened. Most of the people think it's because United States and British and Ukrainian intelligence came again in cooperation with radical Islamists. Look, everybody knows that on Syria territory, United States intelligence service and British intelligence service clearly cooperated with radical Islamists. So if they cooperated in Syria, why not for them not to cooperate with them on the Caucasus? Is first. Also, we have an interesting signal, tragic signal. This is a new kind of terrorist, because in previous time, most of the radical Islamist attack had been either against police station, or either against governmental authority, or against some military points, or sometimes they took hostages and claimed some demands. Now it's absolutely new style of terrorist attack. They first time attack priests, and Russian Orthodox Christian priest, Father Nikolai, have been killed. He served for Dagestan people 40 years. He has 3 daughters and 6 grandchildren. And he even have been outlining some of the monumentum in Dagestan. Killed Father Nikolai was symbol of the friendship between Islam and Orthodox Christianity. Okay. That's why these people decided to kill him. And they killed him especially this Sunday when it was very big Russian Orthodox holiday, which called Troitsa. And the main goal of this terrorist attack was to encourage the clashes between Christianity and Muslims. And this is also new kind of terrorist attack. So most of the analysts here believe that this terrorist attack has been organized by combination of radical Islamists.
I'm sorry to interject you. Doctor, I'm sorry to interject you because we are running out of time. Thank you very much for talking to us. I've been talking to Dr. Sergei Markov, who is a former spokesman for President Putin and also a former member of the Russian parliament. Doctor, thank you for talking to us today.
Thank you.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.